Well, as the budget battle heats up on Jones Street, House Majority Leader John Bell playing a key role once again. Also, disaster relief bill taking place at the General Assembly. Joining us now is Representative Bell. Good to see you, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's nice to be with you.
Yes, absolutely. Good to see you, too. All right, so we have the situation where tradition has it. One chamber starts the budget, the other chamber waits and then does it. You guys might say, forget that. What's going on?
We're still on track. We're still working hard. We're working on a spending number. We got very close at the end of last week, and I think you'll see a spend number and the Senate move pretty quick on the budget. Both appropriations chairs, both House and Senate, have been meeting off and on for months. Our area chairs, you'll see them meet pretty regularly this week. They've been meeting as well. So we're moving forward.
Well, you are moving forward, and you're moving ahead without waiting for the Senate. I mean, is that just you want to get the ball rolling here? And I know there's this disagreement over the number. Traditionally, it's that the House Republicans want to spend more than Senate Republicans. Is that where we're sitting?
Well, it is, Tim, and we have double the amount of people they do. So when you're looking at projects and how you address the projects and the needs throughout multiple districts throughout the state, remember they have 50 senators. We have 120 House members. We have 120 different districts with needs as well. And so we'll get to a good point on the overall spend number. But even though you're seeing the budgets be introduced a little later, I still think we'll be on track to get a budget complete by the end of the month. One
last question is before we move to the other bill that's important to you, I know. Is it more money, more problems? I keep hearing that phrase, right? We have all the stimulus money and the surplus. Is that true?
It's a tremendous amount of money. When you look at this time last year, I never thought we'd be sitting here with a surplus. We were talking at one point a $6 billion deficit. Then it got to be a $4 billion deficit. Then it got to be around $1 or $2 billion. And now we're sitting, depending on how the revenue numbers come in the month of June, you could be around a $7 billion surplus, if not more. Then you've got the ARP funding and the CARES Act funding. All that has to be administered as well. And so it's an awful lot of money coming to our state, and it's our responsibility to do the most good with it as we can. And so you're going to see a lot of projects come through the state budget that are much needed here in the state, and you're going to see a continuation of us pushing out those ARP funds to get to the people that need it the most.
All right, so there's this flood disaster bill that's out there that has your name on it, too. It talks about flood resiliency, the Office of Recovery and Resilience, flood mitigation projects. In real human terms, what's going on here? What is the need?
So this is something that we've been talking about for years. Of course, we thought after Hurricane Matthew, we would actually regroup and then have time to look at how we move forward as a state. But with 2,000-year flood events that happened with Hurricane Florence and Matthew, and then you back it up with Hurricane Michael that made landfall, Hurricane Isaias, we didn't have time to look at long-term recovery. And so that's been kind of sitting on the back burner. We've been having to deal with storms every 6 to 8 months. And so now this is the part where we start moving forward on how we respond on long-term recovery, how do we prevent some of these flooding issues from happening. And so that way we can be prepared for when the next 1,000-year storm hits. So
what types of things would we be talking about when trying to get ready for these storms that would make a difference?
Well, the package that we're going to put together this week and move through the House process is about a $200 million package of appropriating funds up front. And people say, well, that's a lot of money. Well, it is a lot of money. But if you look at what we've done already, you're looking at just our recovery package alone dealing with those storms has been $3.5 billion worth of state response. And so we want to take a proactive approach, look at areas that are prone to flooding. How can we manage that? How can we work with our different departments to so-called what they like to say flood-proof, but to make sure that that the areas that are very prone are able to survive. Because if you look at just the Department of Transportation alone, when you had major highways such as Highway 70 in my area that were closed down, you look at major vital interstates such as Interstate 40 that were closed down, we want to be able to make sure that commerce and people can continue to go back and forth along with our emergency responders during this time, but just be preventative instead of reactive.
Obviously, I mean, we have so much infrastructure needs already outside of storms, but I've talked to Mike Spraber and others about this. Do we need to, and this is a lot of money too, but talk about inland further, building houses up on stilts as part of building requirements, or putting roads up higher off the roads? I mean, are those the types of discussions we need to be having soon?
Absolutely. The housing is a whole different conversation, because if you're dealing with flood-prone areas, you're already seeing that starting to happen. People build higher in certain areas in the county I live in, the district I represent. But let's take the 70 bypass around Goldsboro, for example. That road was actually built up, and it became the lifeline into eastern North Carolina. If you go back to Hurricane Floyd and Hurricane Matthew, Wayne County and Lenore County were cut off. Goldsboro was cut off from the southern part of our county in Mount Olive, and Kinston was cut off from the southern part of Lenore County. And then you looked at Johnston County was cut off from Wayne County. So trying to get emergency personnel back and forth, we had to basically airlift supplies in and people in. Well, the bypass that was built around Goldsboro was actually built up and allowed goods and services and emergency personnel to actually come into the area and drive over the flow waters instead of having to try to figure out a way to fly over them. So yes, that's the conversation that we are having with the Department of Transportation, and they see the need in that in flood-prone areas. Also looking at overpasses in different places. Basically, on that point, Tim, we have to look at how we build roads in these flood-prone areas moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I spent some time with you after the storms, visiting some people in your district that were impacted by these storms. What is the picture today, years later now? Is everybody back to normal? Is it still not back to normal? From what you know, what you've seen, what is it like in your area?
We have a lot of people that are still struggling. We have a lot of people that have lost their houses. Some folks have actually just abandoned their houses and given up. We have little communities like Seven Springs that are down to probably 20 people. And so we have areas that are hurting, and some areas will never recover. So continue, as we're moving through this process, we need to make sure that the little towns like Seven Springs and places like Kinston can survive. And then these communities that had these houses damaged, to make sure that they're either bought out through the process or rebuilt and elevated up. So there's still a lot of challenges out there.
So this current bill that you're trying to push through, is this a no-brainer? I mean, I know it is in your eyes, but and you're talking about a lot of money. People will change things and whatnot. But is this something that you think is going to get through pretty easily?
I do. I think it's a great start. Is this bill perfect? Absolutely not. Are we still tweaking it? Even I'm sitting here with papers in front of me on my desk, looking through about some amendments we're going to run during the process with this. I know my colleague, Senator Perry, is working on the bill in the Senate, and Senator Raven as well, navigating through that. So in the day, we'll have to start off an approach. But once again, this is like anything else we do here. This will be a process. We'll take the first step. We'll review, see where we made mistakes, see where we can actually move further along. And then my hope is that you'll see mitigation and resiliency bills moving forward for the next couple of years. All
right. Well, I hope you come back on, update us on this and the budget. Lots of things going on here, ramping up quickly after somewhat of a slow start. Good to see you, sir. Thank you.
We'll be here. It should be a busy next couple of weeks.
Indeed. Appreciate it. Time for first break.
Thanks,
When we
sir.
come back, we'll talk